death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rate as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call a police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
You have done your work, you have put us to the wall. We are not your slaves.
I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report.
I have not seen the report.
Good morning and welcome to Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning on Global Television. Nice to know you're out there and ready to go. Today is the 28th day of December 2023. It means that we're so close to wrapping up 2023. What an amazing year it has been with you in between. And I've got someone who has always been there since I can remember.
Good morning everyone. It's great being here. And good morning, Anthony Momadou.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing today?
Looking good, feeling good, and it's amazing. The year is about wrapping up, and we're looking forward to 2024.
Yes, 2024. Well, everyone should be expectant. Everyone should be positive. It doesn't matter what we've gone through in 2023. It has been a long ride, of course, with the killings here and there, sad note, but with all of that, positivity is key.
Truly, it's amazing that what we bring to you every morning just to ensure that your day is truly amazing.
Yes.
I'll give you the very best of everything in between just to ensure that you're well informed. You know what we do. All right, let's begin today with, yesterday we had some bit of sad story as regards two of Nigeria's two of Nigeria's great leaders who passed on, Galina Abba and also Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State. And our heart still goes out to his families and the people of Ondo State.
Ondo State, yes, a sad note, a really sad note. And he was battling with his health for a while now. The former governor, Akeredolu, he was battling with his health. And I guess it was just time to go rest. But condolences to the entire people of Ondo State and, of course, his family. Sad note there, really.
All right, and not forgetting Galina Abba, one of the very, very excellent leaders from the northern region of Nigeria, Kano specifically, and the people of Kano definitely would miss his gentility, especially in
professionalism.
His,
they will miss that. Yes, a
great
lot.
lawmaker, and our heart still goes out to the families and the people of Kano State. All right, just to begin today on a very fresh, clean note, already we know that today is the 28th day, like we already told you, and some stories hitting the headlines for us to talk about. We've got some very interesting story. This time is the federal government of Nigeria through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission hitting the British America tobacco with $110 million dollars a fine for breaching that infringement. So it's a long one. It just says that the federal government, through the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, has fined British American Tobacco and its affiliate companies $110 million. This is for alleged infringement of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Act, National Tobacco Control Act, and sundry legal instruments, the FCCPC said on Wednesday in a statement. In addition, the Commission said British American Tobacco must subject itself to compliance and monitoring for a period of 24 months, mandatory public health and tobacco control advocacy, and provisions of written assurances to the Commission. I think it's the right step in the right direction.
True.
We're beginning to see commissions, agency take very bold steps against international organizations.
Yes, it is. It's very important for revenue allocation. It helps in places when it comes to revenue, tax, and all of that. It's a step in the right direction, that you have said. Definitely, we're beginning to be more active, or will I say proactive, when it comes to international organizations coming in to invest in our country. So it means it is a step in the right direction and frame of mind.
All right, and also the fact that with that, what it means is that Nigerians will be well protected in terms of British America doing the right thing by making sure that teenagers do not get engaged in smoking of tobacco. I think that's one of the infringements.
Yes, and like the pack says, for smokers, nobody reads the content, what is written at the back, where it says warning, where it says caution, smokers are liable to die young. It's there. So most teenagers that want to explore when it comes to substance, I think there has to be a limitation. There is a gap to bridge for teenagers not indulging in such act, which is really, really good.
Thank you. Now we're beginning to see that, yes, there's a commission like the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. I think it's very good because I remember 2 years ago when we had an issue in one of these retail shops. We discovered some expired products. I went there with some Nigerian journalists and we made some complaints. And when we got back to the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, the DG at that time, we called him and told him, okay, we had XYZ, we found something, I would like him to send his officials there. He gave some excuses, they never went there. By the time we returned back to check out, we noticed those items were taken off the shelf. But I think they're being more proactive now, and I think it's positive. And
it shows that we as individuals, we have a role to play. We have to be more aware of the kind of products we buy, check for expiry dates, because most of us don't actually do that. And you'll be shocked to see there's so many cereals, so many products, foreign products that are expired, that are brought into the market space, and we actually buy them thinking they're better than the Nigerian product that we get. We don't care to check because we feel they must be good because they're in certain retail shops. And not only that, they must be good because it's foreign. So the thing is, it's a step towards the right direction for us to be more alert as individuals and to be very, very sensitive with products that we buy. Checking out expiry dates, most importantly, because expired contents are very detrimental to one's health. Oh, definitely. All right, we know we've got some other news. We're talking about things that are happening, some very scary stories coming up in terms of insecurity and economy. The World Bank says something very scary. I know, Jima, you've got something else. Yes, it says persistent insecurity, armed conflict, and deteriorating livelihoods will continue to affect local government areas in Borno, Kano, Katsina, Sokoto, Yobe, Zamfara State, and the far north of Adamawa State in Nigeria until May 2024, the World Bank has predicted. And this is as it discloses that poor microeconomic conditions are restricting access to agricultural inputs in the country. So this is really, really sad. And of course, we see what is going on. The prediction is scary because our livelihood has to do with agricultural products. And we're already looking forward to 2024. And it's sad news. Every time the World Bank says something, it has to be sad news. Increase your fuel to 750. Oh my goodness. Why is the World Bank always coming with this? And when you hear the caption, the World Bank, everyone's heart skips a beat because they want to say something or something that will be scary. But in all, let's be positive. Yeah, and but I think it also brings us back to the recent IGR, the confidential, report that came out, economic confidential report that came out. Certain states that were headlined as not doing well. Some of them are in the group of the 6 states. The World Bank has said predicted. Yes, funny enough. But it's surprising, Kaduna, which was one of the states that did well. It's now here when it comes to agricultural produce and all of that. It tells you that the insecurity is really affecting us in very negative ways. Very negative way. And the truth is, when it comes to issues like this, if it doesn't affect in one way, it will affect in another way. Right now, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to deployment, when it comes to development, like we said, Kaduna State was one of the best states that did very well. Now, agriculture coming down now, it shows that we have a long way to go when it comes to insecurity, and I pray it douses down really, really soon. For it to affect our source of livelihood when it comes to food, it means there's going to be famine in the land.
Especially
poverty.
for foodies like
me, not ashamed to say.
Okay, now you know.
Now you know. Now you know.
I think it's also a clarion call to the agencies involved, concerned agencies in the agricultural sector.
Yes.
The Minister of Agriculture.
Yes.
The Minister of Agriculture.
This is a wake-up call.
Yeah. Now you already know what the World Bank is predicting. You should swing into action.
Yes.
Put proactive measures to ensure that what they have predicted does not, and even if it does come to pass, it's alleviated to a certain level.
Oh yes,
so
yes. It doesn't become a menace, and it doesn't bring fear. You know, once there is poverty, there's a lot of crisis that happens. Of course, you know what follows after that. So let them it's better for agencies, like you said, that are involved to step in and do the needful. It's very important. If you cannot do 100%, at least 70-80% is not bad at all.
All right, so we hope, as the states mentioned, we've got Kaduna, Sokoto, and Katsina. These are states that have been mentioned. We hope they will also take proactive measures to ensure that these things are checked before the predictions come to pass. An estimated cereal production for the 2023-2024 is being put, crop year is expected to be 76.5 million tons in West and Central Africa. So it means the West African region and the Central African region, this for farmers, it means you have loads of tons of work to do. So I think even for youths that want to get into farming, this is an opportunity because large, quantity tons of cereal is expected and is needed.
Yeah, it is. It is expected and it's needed. So for those that want to go into agricultural produce, this is now the right step in the right direction. You know that there will actually be gain when it comes to this. But you know, the fear, like I said, insecurity has really cropped in. You know, most farmers, when they go to harvest, you know, you've heard about 2 years ago about those farmers that actually went to their farm to harvest and they were all killed. So the fear, that alone, it's not producing that's the problem. It's at the end, the result they will get, the fear of going back to harvest. So, and that's the problem. That's the issue. That's where the insecurity has come in. So it's left for the government to come into play when it comes to putting the right agencies, when it comes to, you know, the army and all of that coming into play to support and help out so that poverty will not invade us.
All right, so that's on another lighter. We're also calling for community policing. I think this is where it's needed. And one man who was instrumental to it has passed on, Rotimi Akeredolu, who was, remember the Amoteku?
Yes, he was.
That was one of those things that came out, and I think we need more of that so that farmers can be confident to go to their farms and not just farm, and also harvest.
Yes, and not just that, they need weaponry. It's very important. Machines. You know, you can't just, it's not about holding the machete and all of that. You need
good protection.
Good protection.
All right, enough of some of the things you should expect in 2024. We're going to go for a very quick break so that you get to know some facts quickly. Then when we come back, I'll be talking some other very serious matters. But just to let you know that we've still got a paper review to come your way where we're going to be looking at all the big stories making the rounds in Nigeria and national dailies. And also we'll be going on the international scene, looking at international papers from London and other parts of Europe. And I know you've got some tasty things too, right?
Of course, taste and texture. Of course, we will be seeing some very interesting, delicious foods when it comes to taste for foodies like me. So this table, you should come on board this table. And of course, there will be business reports and sports. Let's not forget the sports.
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of sports. The sport is always amazing. Lots of big stories making the rounds. And something is happening in Old Trafford. You want to know what's happening in Old Trafford? Talking about Manchester United, you have to stay put. And something's also happening in AJ, yes, Anthony Joshua. He was amazing over the weekend. He's got something, boxing.
Oh, wow.
So who knows? Lots of big stories for sports fans. Don't go nowhere. This is where you get the very best. That's why it's called Africa's Finest Breakfast Show. Stay with us. right, and welcome back to the program. It's Global Morning, and we're still here, and we're glad you're still there, and we're ready to give you more goodies. And I just got to learn that some animals can jump. The only animal in the world that can't jump, and it's as big as an elephant. That's probably the size.
Yeah, the size, of course. Of course, you know, the elephant weighs a ton. So jumping would be pretty hard, you might say.
Oh, thank God I'm not an elephant. Because you need to jump at times doing things. So it can jump for food, it can't, but it can use its trunk, right?
Yes, but that's the only protection it has, the trunk, yes. But, you know, other aspects, jumping when it comes to, if it's something really big, then a rat can, like, jump, but an elephant just cannot.
All right, one elephant has jumped, so to say, in Ondo State. Some things are jumping already. People are jumping and taking places. Some weeks back, we had the issue. There was this back and forth between Rotimi Akeredolu before he died and Ayede Datua as regards who should govern the state or who should power be ceded to him. And it just tells us a big story. There's no need for anxiety about anything in this life, because life it's unpredictable. Yes, seasonal.
And the truth is, there's no hurry in life. That's the lesson I have learned. If you ask me, what is meant to be will always be. What is written will always be. It doesn't matter how hard you try to connive or how hard you try to stop it. What will be will always be. So we shouldn't be anxious for nothing.
Yeah, so it goes to say that now Lucky, his name is going well for him.
Lucky, yeah.
Lucky.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah,
of
so
course,
he got
governor
lucky.
now.
Yeah, governor now. He got sworn in yesterday as a substantive governor of Ondo State, the 7th governor of the Sunshine State. So the Sunshine, how did they say?
Sunshine.
Okay, you got checked there too.
The sunshine, your shoes shine. Isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah, something like that. There's this rhyme about sun and shining stuff, but the sun has shone on Lucky. It's got lucky now.
You're supposed to say it in pidgin, not in English. Okay. You're spoiling it.
Okay, try. All right, just to put some sunshine on the Sunshine State. Ondo State is the Sunshine State, and Lucky got lucky. And now, but what is sad way to be lucky?
What is sad? You know, it's a win-win situation.
Would he be so happy knowing that he had some rift before that happened?
No one is happy except if we're all humans. And when I say positivity is key, we shouldn't be happy when someone who's your rival dies. You know, that part, you're going to miss that part because you miss that person always like haunting you and hunching you down.
Putting you on your toes. Yeah.
So no one wishes that, really. Of course, it's a win-win. It's a sad and happy face at the same time. Sad that he lost. At one point, they were friends.
Yeah,
but
they were.
Unfortunately,
definitely.
This seat just brought this controversy. And, well, life goes on. That's why I said it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, so at exactly 5:15 p.m. yesterday, he was sworn in as the governor. So lucky you, and we wish him all the very best. And for the people of the Sunshine State, we're hoping that they get the very best of Lucky Ayede Datua. And now he's wearing the big shoe. I am looking forward to see his deputy, how he's going to flow with his deputy. And we're going to remind him in case he steps out of line, remember, you were once a deputy.
Oh,
so
yes, and yes, remember your head, which is the governor will always putting you on check, so you should always remember that.
All right, so from the Sunshine State, we're going to go straight into AM News, where you're going to get the big stories that are making the rounds in Nigeria and across the globe. Then when we come back, we've got lots of goodies waiting just for you. We're still going to be looking at 2023 in retrospect, and all that big important talking points is what we'll be sharing. And don't forget, Jemai told us there's a lot of tasty and texture coming your way.
Yes, I did.
Lots of sport also coming your way. A lot of other goodies coming your way. Just stay with us. And but first of all, get well informed. AM News up next.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global TV, live in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Jumai Manson. President Bola Tinubu has expressed his condolences over the death of the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Gali Abba. His special advisor on media and publicity, Ajiru Ngelale, revealed this in a statement on Wednesday. The statement added that the president expressed grief at the loss, recalling the contributions of the late ex-lawmaker to nation building through legislation, advocacy and policy. The president recalls Speaker Na'aba's determined struggle to defend the functionality and role of the legislator in governance, describing him as a disciplined and resolute politician. President Bola praised for the repose of the soul of the departed and comfort for those who mourn this painful loss. Lucky Ayedatiwa, the Eswero acting governor of Ondo State, has been sworn in as the substantive governor of the Sunshine State. The chief judge of the state, Justice Olusegun Odushola, administered the oath of office on Ayedatiwa. This development followed the death of Governor Olarotimi Akeredolu San on Wednesday after a prolonged battle with prostate cancer. He had transferred power to his deputy Ayedatiwa via a letter to the State House of Assembly on December 13, 2023, when he was to proceed on medical leave in Germany. The event, which took place at the governor's office in Akure, the state capital, had in attendance the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Olamide Oladiji, Secretary to the state government, Oladuni Odu, some state executive council members, head of service, Pastor Kayode Ogundele, former deputy governors, permanent secretaries, chairman of the All Progressive Congress in the state, Adetimihen, the chief of staff to the late Akeredolu, Chief Olugbenga Ale, party supporters, amongst others. Still on, President Bola Tinubu says the federal and sub-national government of Nigeria have the mutual responsibility of ensuring the country's peace and sustainability. Speaking during a meeting with the Nigerian Governors Forum, NGF, at his residence in Lagos on Tuesday, the president reiterated his condemnation of the latest killings in Plateau State. Addressing the governors, the president issued a stern directive to security agencies to halt the carnage in Plateau State and intensify the pursuit of those responsible for the recent tragic events in the Bokos and Birnin Ladi local government area. Condoling with the victims, President Tinubu emphasized the sanctity of human life and called for a paradigm shift among those with contrary beliefs, cautioning them about the inevitable consequences of their actions. Alhaji Tanko Yakase has described the death of the Speaker of the 8th National Assembly, Gali Abba, as shocking and devastating. Describing Gali as a son of the elder statesman, told newsmen in Kano that Gali grew up to hold position of authority, and his own principles on separation of power made him a speaker's speaker. Yakasi added that Gali's death at his point of march of nationhood is simply irreplaceable, adding that he died when his services are needed most, further commensurating with the Na'aba family in particular, Kano State and Nigeria as a whole. Similarly, former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dagora, has commensurated with the family of the Fourth Republic Speaker of the House of Gali Na'aba, who passed on in the early hours of Wednesday in Abuja at the age of 65. Describing the late politician as a rare gem and a leader like no other, Dagara lauded Na'aba for his role in the defense of democracy while holding sway as Speaker of the House of Representatives. He stated that Na'aba was a repertory of knowledge who was always willing to share from his fountain of wisdom whenever the legislator ran into murky waters and needed clarity to proceed. Dagara also commiserated with the immediate family, the government, people of Kano State, and Nigerians. Over now, the Kwara State Governor Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak has mourned the death of his Ondo State counterpart, Rotimi Akeredolu. Abdul Razak, who is the chairman of the Nigerian Governors Forum, in a statement on Wednesday by his spokesperson Rafiu Ajakai, described Akeredolu as an exceptional statesman who made indelible marks in public service, adding that as painful as his exit is to all of us, we take solace in his fine legacies as a gentleman and statesman, in his word, asking God to repose his soul and look after his family. Police in Cross River State has confirmed the arrest of 2 members of a 4-man kidnap gang. Police spokesperson in the state, Irene Ubo, a superintendent of police who confirmed the arrest, stated that the gang was responsible for the adoption of the wife of the popular vehicle dealer in Calabar, the state capital. Ubo stated that they released the kidnapped victim after collecting ransom. She added that the suspects already made confessional statements to the police and would be arraigned upon conclusion of investigation. Luck ran out in the duo as the police tracked the owner of the bank account into which they received the ransom. Ubo added that locally made pistols, ammunition, phones, and other valuable items are recovered from the duo. She warned members of the public against sharing of their bank details with others, as such details could be used for fraud or for other illicit dealings. Over now to the Central Bank of Nigeria has affirmed the safety of funds in Nigerian banks, emphasizing the stability of the country's banking sector. The Apex Bank therefore advised the public to continue with their regular banking activities without succumbing to the alarm caused by unverified reports not originating from the CBN concerning the health status of the Nigerian banks. The CBN stated that it is fully equipped to carry out its statutory duty of upholding a stable financial system in Nigeria. The clarification comes after the report by the CBN Special Investigator Jim Obaze that the embattled former governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, used proxies to set up 2 financial institutions. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS General Christopher Musa, has Tuesday assured troops of the 8th Division Nigerian Army, Sokoto, that the armed forces stand by them in the fight to defend the nation's adversaries and restore peace and stability in the country. General Christopher Musa gave the assurance Tuesday while addressing troops of the Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin Daji at a luncheon in Jinjiya Barracks, Sokoto. In his vote of thanks at the luncheon, the General Officer Commanding GOC 8th Division and Commander Joint Task Force Northwest Operation Hadarin Daji, Major General Godwin Mutkut, appreciated the CDS visit to the division despite his tight schedule. He said the ongoing war against terrorists and bandits to restore peace and social economic development in the state and the northwest of the country is of paramount importance to the troops of the Northwest Joint Task Force. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Betta Edu, has condoled with the government and people of Plateau State on the recent killings in the state, stating that humanitarian support will be provided for the survivors. In a post shared on her X handle on Wednesday, Edu assured the ministry, in line with the directive of President Bola Tinubu, will collaborate with the Plateau government to bring humanitarian succor to the survivors of the attack and the affected communities. She added that the ministry will not relent in its efforts until all humanitarian crises are resolved. Meanwhile, the national chairman of All Progressive Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, on Wednesday mourned the governor of Ondo State, Olarotimi Akeredolu, who he described as a politician with exceptional leadership skills. The APC national chairman, in a tribute released by his chief press secretary, Edwin Olofun, in Abuja, described the death of the former national president of Nigeria Bar Association as a great loss, not only to Ondo people, but to Nigerians as a whole. While saluting his courage as an accomplished lawyer and advocate for progress, Ganduje said the governor left behind a remarkable legacy of dedication towards the development and betterment of Ondo State. The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Ogun State, Ladi Adebetu, on Wednesday visited the state police headquarters in Alaweran, Abeokuta, over allegations of vote buying during the March 18th elections. Adebetu, who returned to Nigeria after over 6 months in the United Kingdom, arrived at the police headquarters around 11 a.m. to honor police invite over allegations by the All Progressive Congress that he bought votes with pro-loaded ATM cards during the polls. As the governorship candidate returned over the weekend, the APC, in another statement on Tuesday, welcomed him back home, asking him to turn himself into the authorities and defend the vote buying and money laundering charges put forward against him by the federal government. The chairman of the APC in Ogun, Yemi Sanusi, had petitioned the police accusing Adebutu and other PDP members of vote buying, with the case currently in court. You're watching the AM News live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us on all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. When AM News returns, civil servants yet to resume in Abia, Imo after holiday. The news continues shortly with details of this and more stories right after this break. Please stay with us. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. The resurgence of diphtheria in 2023 emerged as an unexpected and formidable foe challenging health systems across the country. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, noted that people most at risk of contacting diphtheria are children and adults who have not received any or single dose of prednisolone vaccine, people who live in crowded environments in areas with poor sanitation, and healthcare workers who are exposed to suspected or confirmed cases. More than 500 people, mostly children, have died in Nigeria since the current outbreak began in 2022. Data published by the NCDC spanning Epic Week 19, 2022 to Epic Week 48, 2023 indicates that 20,684 suspected cases have so far been reported from 33 states across 280 local government areas. Kano State, the epicenter of the disease, within 13,461, followed by Yobe with 2,234, Katsina 1,509, Bauchi 1,139, Borno 968, Kaduna 486, and Jigawa 2,056 accounted for 96.9% of the suspected cases reported. Of the 20,684 suspected cases, 12,086, 58.4% were confirmed cases distributed across 148 local government areas in 20 states. Most civil servants in Abia have yet to resume work after the two-day public holiday for the Christmas celebration. The federal government has declared Monday 25th and Tuesday 26th as public holiday. Most of the offices were under lock and key, while the ones that opened had a few workers who were busy cleaning up their tables and lockers. It was also observed that most of the shops and kiosks located within the Secretariat complex, which were usually busy during weekdays, were still locked. Some of the civil servants who reported to work were seen exchanging Christmas pleasantries and expressed happiness that work had resumed, and attributed the low turnout of the usual full associated with resumption after Christmas break. Over now to a foreign desk, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has called the war a grave crime against his people. Israel's Army Chief Herzi Halevi said the conflict with Hamas will continue for many months. Israel says it hit more than 100 sites on Tuesday and reports of impending ground operations in central Gaza. Loud explosions could be heard from the Gaza Strip across the perimeter with Israel in the early hours of Wednesday. In the occupied West Bank, Palestinian medical sources say 6 Palestinians were killed in an overnight Israeli drone strike in the Nor Shams refugee camp in Takarim. Gaza's health ministry said 382 people had also been injured over the same 24 hours. According to the ministry, at least 20,915 Palestinians have been killed, mostly children and women, in more than 11 weeks of fighting. Extreme cold and dense fog have caused travel chaos in India's capital, Delhi, and other parts of northern India. More than 100 flights and 25 trains in the city have been delayed due to poor visibility. The city witnessed one of the foggiest days of the season so far, with visibility dropping to below 50 meters on Wednesday. A thick blanket of mist in the morning brought the traffic to a crawl and also led to accidents in some parts. Accidents have been reported from other parts of North India as well. In the neighboring Uttar Pradesh, multiple vehicles collided on a proximate expressway on Wednesday morning as the dense fog swept through the state. Dense fog is common in the region at this time of the year as various parts of northern and central India experience cold waves. Cold weather is also continuing in some parts of the northern states of the Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and in India-administered Karmar. India's weather office has issued an alert saying the foggy condition will continue for the next 5 days. It also asks people to avoid going out unless there is an emergency to cover their faces adequately when outdoors. Australian police said Wednesday they were scouring beaches after mysterious packages believed to contain more than 120 kilograms, 260 pounds of cocaine washed up over the Christmas period. Police says first batch of 39 Barnacle 1 kilogram bricks of suspected cocaine was discovered on Friday near the Megata beach north of Sydney, adding that another 85 package of the same size have been spotted along about 80 kilometers, 50 miles of the New South Wales coastline. Further assuring that detectives and specialist police are currently combing beaches and coastlines for any outstanding packages and working behind the scene to make sure they find and hold accountable those responsible. Now on South Korean actor Lee Sun-young, best known for his role in the Oscar-winning film Parasite, have been found dead. Authorities have confirmed the actor, 48, was found unconscious in a car in one of the Seoul's main parks on Wednesday. It was unclear if Lee took his own life, but police said they received a report that he had left home after writing a note. He had been under investigation for alleged drug use since October. In Parasite, Lee played the patriarch of a wealthy Park family, which is infiltrated by members of a poor family posing as unrelated individuals. The vicious social satire won 4 Oscars, including Best Picture quality. On our business desk, amid push by power sector operators of the federal government and to end subsidies of electricity tariff, it has emerged that over 7 million customers remain without electricity meters in the power sector. Without meters, customers are unable to control energy consumption and are faced with estimated bills from electricity distribution companies. DISCO's latest data from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, showed that as at 30th September 2023, there were 12,828,005 registered electricity customers in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, NESE, out of which only 5,707,838, 44.51%, are metered. NERC, in its third quarter 2023 report, disclosed that 148,389 end-users customers were metered during the period, with Ikeja, Abuja, and Ibadan. This goes having the highest number of meter installations in 2023 Q3, accounting for 27.35%, 20.78%, and 17.53% respectively of the total installations. The Commission also projected that in the absence of cost-reflective tariff, electricity subsidies will hit 1.6 trillion naira in 2024. The Ogun state government has presented a 700 kVA transformer with accessories worth over 200 million naira to the Owode Egba community in Obafemi Owode local government area of the state. The intervention, according to a statement released on Wednesday, helped to replace the old 500 kVA transformer, which was abandoned for 20 months and had impaired the socioeconomic life of the people of the community. Speaking during the presentation of the transformer, the Olu of Owode, Oba Kolawole Semenwo, said the town had been in darkness for over 18 months, adding that the blackout had paralyzed several growing and existing business activities in the area. Oba Semenwo appreciated Governor Dakpo Abiodun for providing the amenity, describing the ongoing Owode Egba Road construction as a good feat that would ease the hardship of people in the community and attract more investors in the community. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, said Nigerians applying to change their date of birth on the National Identification Number (NIN) database will henceforth be required to provide an electronic civil registration and vital systematic system (ECRVS) certificate from the National Population Commission (NPC). The Commission stated this in a new guideline for the date of birth change it released at the weekend via its X handle in addition to the certificate. NIMC said copies of other valid documents such as identification and application letter for modification will now be addressed to the Director General of NIMC. Meanwhile, the NIMC has budgeted 9.57 billion naira for construction purposes in 2024. This is contained in the 2024 appropriation bill. The NIMC, which was formerly under the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, was moved in September to the Ministry of Interior, headed by Olubunmi Tunji Ojo. But last week, the federal government moved the commission to the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. There, however, are no clarifications yet on the forms of constructions expected to gulp the 9.57 billion naira, and this may raise dust in some quarters. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMNET, has predicted moderate dust haze from Wednesday to Friday across the country. NIMNET's weather outlook released on Tuesday predicts horizontal visibility of 2 km to 5 kilometers and localized visibility of less or equal to 1,000 meters over the northern region. Moderate dust haze with horizontal visibility of 2 kilometers to 5 kilometers is expected over the north-central region and the island cities of the south during the forecast period, while hazy atmosphere is envisaged over the coastal cities throughout the forecast period, it said. According to it, moderate dust haze with horizontal visibility of 2 kilometers to 5 kilometers is expected over the north-central, and the island cities of the south during the forecast period on Thursday. The agency anticipated a hazy atmosphere over the coastal belt of the country throughout the forecast period. NIMNET predicts moderate dust haze on Friday with horizontal visibility of 2 kilometers to 5 kilometers over the north-central, and the island areas of the south throughout the forecast period. Moving on now, and that's it on AM News, and it comes to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we're on Star Times channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @GlobalTVNG and other handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. See you again.
All right, welcome back. It's still on Global Television, and we're still giving you the very best of the morning menu. It's now time that time where we look at the papers to tell you what the big papers are saying in Nigeria, so that you get well informed as regards the top stories making the rounds across board in Nigeria's national dailies. And hopefully our guest who will be joining us via Zoom is legal practitioner and public affairs analyst and activist, also in the person of Chairman, who will be joining us via Zoom to help us look at the big top stories and give us very balanced analysis of each of those big stories as we look at Nigerian newspapers across border. And also we'll be going to the foreign scene where we'll be having some Daily Mail from the UK and the Guardian, London Guardian, and other papers. We'll be looking at them and what the top stories are saying, so that you get well informed this morning before you step out of your homes. All right, let's quickly run in, and up next is the newspaper review. Stay with us. All right, it's now time for us to look at the big stories making the rounds in the papers. Let's begin looking at what the papers have got in store for us. The first paper we have there is the Leadership newspaper is up for review as we look at the big headline stories from the Leadership. It says 17 years after uncertainty trails conduct of national census is the first leading story on the Leadership newspaper. Yes, the leading headline, 17 years after uncertainty trails conduct of national census, is the big headline story there. It says zero budget for exercise raises concern. Zero budget for exercise raises concern. 200 billion naira spent on preparation for exercise may waste away. Yes, 200 billion. Yes, 200 billion naira already spent in preparations for the exercise may waste away if the census is not conducted. And we've got Nigeria holds 5 censuses in 63 years. Nigeria holds 5 censuses in 63 years, and it says zero budget for exercise raises concern, and 200 billion naira spent on preparation for the exercise may waste away. Very loud headline there, 17 years after uncertainty trails conduct of national census. We also have Euro Money names Zenith Bank for digital solutions. We've got we won't rest until you are safe. Shettima tells Plateau communities. That's reassuring. On page 8 of the Leadership newspaper comes the headline, "We won't rest until you are safe," Shettima tells Plateau communities. NNPC assures Nigerians of energy security nationwide. That's on page 24 of the Leadership newspaper. The headline says, NNPC assures Nigerians of energy security nationwide. That's an interesting one. Michigan court rejects bid to bar Trump from 2024 ballot. That's on the international scene. Michigan court rejects bid to bar Trump from 2024 ballot. That big story you can find only on page 27 of the Leadership newspaper. And I've got other big stories making the rounds. The funeral prayer of former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Galina Abba. That's the picture story on your screen there. She's gone to rest. All right, other big stories, headline, Ayedatiwa sworn in as Ondo governor is another big headline story there on page 6 of the Leadership newspaper. Union Bank acquisition is the rider. Titan Bank officials reply CBN investigator. That's a big headline there from the financial sector. Union Bank acquisition is the kicker. Titan Bank officials reply CBN investigator, and we know his name is Jim Obazi. All right, headline stories there. All right, let's see if we've got Oche Emmanuel. Good morning, nice to have you join us.
Good morning, presenter. Good morning, Nigerian.
Oche Emmanuel.
I can hear you, please. I'm here.
All right, nice to have you join us. Let's look at some of the headlines from the Leadership newspaper. The big one there says 17 years after, uncertainty trails a conduct of national census, and it says zero budget for exercise raises concerns. 200 billion naira spent for preparation of the exercise may waste if it doesn't hold, and Nigeria holds 5 censuses in 63 years. Let's look at this story. Uncertainty trails conduct of national census. How alarming is that situation, knowing that we've spent 200 billion in preparation of this exercise?
Well, good morning once more, Nigerians, and Merry Christmas, and I wish you a prosperous New Year. 2024 promises to be a good year for Nigerians, and I encourage all Nigerians to be hopeful. All hope is not lost in our country, in our leadership, in our democracy. Coming to the question now, the issue of census. Nigeria has been grappling with the challenges of organizing the census since the last we organized 19 years ago. It's unfortunate. President Muhammadu Buhari's government budgeted a huge amount of money, and well over 200 billion has been spent on this project without achieving anything. Only recently, President Tinubu also reconstituted the National Population Commission and then rejigged that commission with the intention of organizing another census for the country. In our opinion, why is it taking Nigerians so long to organize the census? Don't we know, don't the government know that the number of the citizens of a country help the country in preparing for her budget? I mean, the data collected from these head counts in the country enables the country to prepare effectively for the economical rejigment of her nation. Why are we trivializing everything in this country? I hope and I pray that the President Tinubu's administration will prioritize this very, very laudable project for this country and ensure that we have a commendable, free, and competent census in the year ahead. 200 billion is not a home takeaway. It's a reasonable amount of money that should be able to run down a census effectively in Nigeria.
All right, let's look at the fact that they say it is zero budget for census. Does that tell us how serious the government takes the issue of census? How would you have a census without a budget for that purpose? And if actually the census does not hold, does it mean we're ready to waste 200 billion naira already used in preparing for this same census?
Well, that we have zero budget for census simply means the system is tired of approving and appropriating budget for census. It simply means enough has been done in that agency to enable us to have a very effective and successful census. That's what it simply means. Except if we are trying to go the usual way of doing things in the country. For me, Tinubu has no reason not to engage in this very laudable project. Zero budget does not mean there is no money for them to conduct this census. It simply means that enough budget has been budgeted already for the population, census to be conducted, and that wherever the money is, it should be appropriated and then implemented. We can get it right. And Tinubu needs to prioritize this very, very serious economic progress in our country.
All right, we have another big headlines. This is the Vice President speaking. He says, we won't rest until you are safe. Shettima tells the Plateau communities. I know you lived in Plateau State, you schooled there, so you have an idea of how good these people are and what they go through. Is the government being sincere in terms of saying they won't rest until the people of Plateau find peace? Because we notice every year the people of Rion local government is being attacked. Back in Ladi, Bokos, people were killed, 150. And the security agencies are there each time, and not even one insurgent was killed, not even one was captured. And there were gunshots for hours, houses were burnt. How come there was no response?
Well, for some of us who know Jos very well, Plateau State, some of us who schooled in Jos and knows how serene, quiet, and beautiful that state has been, it is a very, very heartwarming situation for us, because we know that Jos used to be a very peaceful state, very calm, beautiful. The weather is friendly with economic rejuvenation. The recurring crisis between farmers and herdsmen in Jos leaves so much to be tolerated in this country. Each time people are slaughtered, the question most people ask now is not who was killed. They now ask how many people were killed. In fact, if they are killed in tens, in 20s, it no longer makes news. It's only when it is in hundreds. Don't forget that these are human beings with blood running through their veins like us. Now, if the government has no capacity to stop these marauding herdsmen to continue to kill people, in Chapter 14 of the 1999 Constitution, security and welfare is the major primary responsibility of every government. Now, if a country cannot provide for security and the welfare of the people, what is the essence of this government? People in Plateau are living with their eyes, are sleeping with their eyes always open. Are you saying that the government in the state and the federal government can no longer guarantee the security of these people? We are here in Abuja, we are in major cities in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, sleeping with our eyes closed, whereas there are other Nigerians who have not known peace all through their life in the last 7 to 10 years. The government of this country needs to be serious. I have no confidence whatsoever that the statement by the Vice President of Nigeria on his visit to Plateau will make any match. It's not going to hold any water. It is a regular political statement that are made when politicians visit scene of incident. Why do we have to allow these issues to happen before we take action? We have Operation White Stroke. We have regiment of the military stationed all over the state, and these are still happening. Who are these Fulani herdsmen? Where are they coming from? Is there any political connivance? Is there any national connivance? Is this an ethnic cleansing? What kind of feeling is this that can never abate in this country? I tell you, I am very, 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 very angry, because this situation needs to stop.
Very, very sad. Very sad story. Just to put a closure to that talk, what do you think should happen to the security architecture of that state and those who were on duty when this happened? Shouldn't they be sued, or what legal action can the state take against those security operatives?
Let me tell you, as concerned as I am over this issue, as emotional as I am over this issue, I'm being emotional because that is a state that I have lived in for years. I know the kind of peace and serenity that exists in that state. Now, as concerned as I am, the question to ask is, who has ever taken responsibility for this kind of security lapse? Nobody is being fired. Nobody is losing his or her job. There's no deliberate effort by the security apparatchik to get this thing right. There's no intelligence gathering. These soldiers are just there, mounting the road and doing nothing. And lives are going. I mean, I'm just concerned. Okay, it happened in Benue. It's happening in Plateau. I mean, in most of the North Central states, in the Northwest. I mean, there's no peace anywhere. And I think that the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Defense Staff, I mean, the security network of this country, they need to take life of Nigerians seriously. Or else, Nigerians will have no alternative than they need to think of how to protect themselves.
All right, well said. Let's move on to the next talking point. This has to do with the NNPC assuring Nigerians of energy security nationwide. That's what NNPCL is saying. Do you have faith in Mele Kyari and his team to ensure that there's energy security across the nation?
Well, they're trying. The Buhari administration got it right. Usually, if you recall, in this country, when it is time for celebration like the Christmas and the New Year, people have to sleep on the road because of lack of PMS and other sources of energy. Today, because of the deregulation, because of the withdrawal of subsidy, it appears as if the Buhari administration took a bold step. Implementation is what Tinubu is trying to sustain here. I do have confidence that there will be availability and the regulation will be able to ensure that those who stock in trade is to hoard this energy and cause unnecessary panic in the hearts of Nigeria and then raise the economic situation to a very bad indices will be restrained.
All right, let's go to the foreign scene. Specifically, I'm taking you to the U.S., where a Michigan court has rejected the bid to bar Donald Trump from going to the polls, the ballot in 2024. We know how divisive Trump was during his first reign. Do you think this is a good move and this is positive?
That is a country where things are done normally. Donald Trump is fighting for his life, his political life, and he's using a conventional method to ensure that he regularizes his right to recontest for the position of the president. The court, though various judgments have been given, I'm impressed with the fact that Trump didn't resort to criminality, he didn't resort to manipulation, he didn't resort to forgery. He is going through the normal processes that are embellished in their constitution to restore his right and recontest. I'm sure with all these legal hustles on his way, Trump is becoming increasingly more popular. And who knows, it will stage a comeback.
All right, let's look at the Nation's newspaper, the headlines there. We've got some very interesting headlines. Aiyedatiwa steps in after Akeredolu about to cancer is the big headline story. Shettima, Shekaru, Kwankwaso, others bid Naaba's farewell. And we've got no plan to take over banks, says CBN. And we've other CBN investigator rejects Lemo and others request. Those are the headlines. Let's look at Aiyedatiwa's stepping in after Akeredolu's demise. How do you see this finally playing out? His name, Lucky, he has finally gotten lucky. Remember the last time we spoke about Ondo State crisis, you were of the opinion that they didn't follow what the Constitution says in terms of ceding power to the deputy governor. How big is the task for Lucky Aiyedatiwa right now?
Well, right now, first of all, may I condole the people of Ondo State and the immediate family of late Governor Akeredolu. Akeredolu was a seasoned lawyer. He was a passionate Nigerian. He worked very assiduously to ensure that we had a very robust legal system. He was a chairman of national chairman of NBA. He was a senior advocate of. He saw it all, and then a governor of the state. May his soul rest in peace. He was a near perfect struggler, an activist to the core, and I think God will rest his soul, having allowed him to do all the major things that any human being can do on earth. Now, coming to the issue of swearing in of Lucky Aiyedatiwa, Lucky is truly lucky. At the point, there were pressure on him to step on beyond what the Constitution required. At that time, Akeredolu was still alive. He has not been declared incapacitated. He has not been impeached. And there were pressure for him to become the acting governor and all of those. But you recall that the president stepped in and that there was a political resolution of that matter. And power was transferred to him temporarily until yesterday when the news came to town that Akeredolu has finally passed on to his fathers. I congratulate Lucky. It is not an easy task. Being a deputy governor and now a governor, there's a serious difference between these two positions. And I urge him to carry everybody along. He should govern with malice towards none. And he should ensure that he sustained the various pillars that were entrenched in the system before he got in. He has a very short time to be there as a governor, except if he wants to recontest. But if the situation does not warrant him recontesting, he should not unnecessarily overheat the polity. He should just do what God has sent him to do. He should not stretch his luck too far. There are two persons in Nigeria political firmament whose names have played out in their political struggle. Goodluck Jonathan, who became so lucky in everything he was doing until he became the president. And now we have Lucky Ayedatiwa, who is also very lucky. So, but when you extend your luck too far, luck can turn to something else. So I pray for him and I hope he succeeds in his new administration.
All right, let's look at for other political allies and foes, so to say. Would he be facing any form of challenge from those on this faction of Rotimi Akeredolu who might still be nursing some animosity based on what transpired before the late governor's demise?
Definitely he will. Don't forget that power has now shifted. Power equation has shifted in Ondo State, where the deputy governor was, now deputy governor, now governor, may not be the place where the governor was supposed to be. Maybe the zoning of that position to where Lucky was as deputy governor was meant to be for deputy governor. Now the position has now shifted, the governorship has now shifted to Lucky Ayedatiwa, who is from a zone where the governor was not supposed to be, which automatically means there must be a re-strategizing of the State House of Assembly to allow the speaker to go to the right place too. And again, the choice of who becomes the deputy to Lucky Ayedatiwa will become another challenge. So if he does not get it right to ensure that he placates, pacify all fraying nerves, then there's going to be a regrouping against him. The other aspect again is that, don't forget, those who were allies of Governor Akeredolu, their plans, their policies, their intention, and possibly those who were rooting for them to benefit thereafter, after Akeredolu's tenure, will naturally not be happy that God has taken his turn on like every other person on Akeredolu. One, politics is all about the struggle for sustenance of the thesis. Those who are continuously struggling to sustain the status quo, and then those who are continuously change the status quo. So we have what we call the synthesis, the antithesis, and the thesis. For now, those who are in struggle to change the status quo will be happy that the status quo has changed. But those who are in constant struggle to sustain the status quo will be very, very angry that what they are expecting did not work. So Lucky must be careful not to step on the banana peel.
All right, well said there. All right, let's look at this last news item from the Nation's newspaper. Shetima, Shekarau, Kwankwaso, others bid Naaba farewell. Let's look at the man Naaba, Gali Naaba. For you, what does he represent to the people of Kano and to the lawmakers, in particular, where he made he cut his teeth and made his name?
The end of Naaba, the last period of Naaba's life on earth was sympathetic. Naaba was a refined politician, a corrosive gentleman, and an astute believer in the democratic tenet of this country. When Salisu Buhari was edged out, Naaba came on board and deepened the democratic system in our National Assembly. Naaba ought to have been celebrated as one of the national heroes of democracy in this country.
True.
May his soul rest in perfect peace. Having said that, it is left for Nigeria to learn from some of the discipline, the doctrines, and the legislative innovations that Naaba brought on board while he was a Speaker of the House of Representatives. He made sure that the National Assembly, in connection with the Senate, was truly independent. He never allowed infiltration. He never allowed some sort of executive influence. He was truly struggling and fighting, and he got it right, that the National Assembly, being another arm of the government, was truly independent and does not need to go cap in hand to the executive to ask for what was their right. Yesterday was a black day for Nigeria. We lost some of our finest politicians, some of our finest activists, some of our dogged fighters for democracy. I'm talking about Akeredolu and Naaba. It's not so easy to lose such people in the life of a country. But however, who are we to ask God why? They have done their part, and we believe that we will continue to learn and sustain the good tenets which they have left in our democratic system.
All right, let's jump into the next one. We're looking at the Punch newspaper. There's some big punchy headlines there. One of them says it's a Plateau massacre. Federal government vows justice. IG sends a squad after killers. We've got on page 7 of the Punch newspaper, this punchy headline says, Federal government fines British American Tobacco $110 million, drops criminal charges. You can find that story on page 7. We've got railway debt servicing exceeds revenue by 1,200%, says a report. And on the center page, we've got Ayedatiwa takes over Tinubu as governors say Akeredolu's death a big loss. And other headlines, insecurity, economic hardship to worsen in 6 states, says the World Bank. And another big headline story is mob kills 2 over alleged murder in Ogun State. Why ex-speaker Naaba buried in Kano, president orders mourn. All right, let's look at the big headline story first of all. Federal government fines British American Tobacco $110 million, drops criminal charges. Okay, let's look at this. Do you think it was fair enough for the federal government, after fining British American Tobacco $110 million for infringement on the Competition and Consumer Protection Act, for them to drop that criminal charges? Is that trying to give them soft landing?
Well, not really. They may have engaged in what we call plea bargaining. Plea bargaining has become one of the major ways of achieving results in our criminal justice system, even though some of us find it extremely strange. It's like encouraging people to continue in criminal acts. For the federal government, in their wisdom, there must have been the essence of, by the way, punishing an offender is not because you want the offender to really be punished, it's because you want the offender to learn. And maybe British Tobacco may have felt remorse for violating our Consumer Protection Act, and the federal government in their relevance and the good economic pathway between, British American Tobacco and then the government, I would have taken that step to keep parties together. For me, in the wisdom of the AGF and the federal government, they may have done that to allow parties to heal.
But we know if it's in other crimes, that criminal charges would not be dropped because once you bridge the whole weight of the law, rather than subpeda just because you gave them a fine, because we're talking about our young ones who engage in smoking and all that. Is that fair enough? Always parting the international organizations because you want to fine is
also one of the ways of punishing offenders. Payment of fines is also one of the ways of punishing offenders in any crime. don't forget that even if you send them to jail or you send them away from Nigeria or you stop them from producing, it is also one of the ways of punishing them. So if one of the ways the government have decided to reprimand the British American Tobacco is to ask them to pay a fine, so be it. I'm sure the caution line there will be, if you do this again, there will be no remedy for Janet in US. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that if you do this again, there will be no appeal to anywhere except to take the law to its fullest. For me, other yes, they may not tolerate that, but in Nigeria, I think one of the ways of punishing offenders is imposition of fines.
All right, let's look at this. What's your take on the IG? The headline says federal government vows justice. IG sends squad after killers. Does that suggest that the Nigerian police force knows the killers or the perpetrators? And the question is, so why did they have to wait till these perpetrators commit this crime? And is there any truth in saying they sent them after the killers?
Why is the government reactive? Why is the government reactive? Why would they not formulate a policy that will stop this killing? Why has the IG not resigned? Why has the chief of army staff not resigned? Why has the TSS chief not resigned? Why are people not being punished for these sort of lapses in our system? So long as they continue to remain in office, when things like this are happening, they will continue to speak from both sides of their mouths. They cannot be trusted. They are losing strategy. They don't have the wherewithal to get this thing done. I mean, and so much money is going into defense. So much money is going for policing. And what are we saying in this country? Can we continue in this manner so that everybody will one day become a victim? I'm saying this because in Okigbo's poem, The Casualty, he said the casualties are not only those who are dead or wounded, that they are well out of it. Even those who are living are casualties. If you go to many homes in Nigeria today, most people are victims of this brigandage, this criminality that has been allowed to fester in this nation. Many people, if you have not been kidnapped, you are a brother to somebody who has been kidnapped. If you have not lost your life, your arm, you have not been maimed, you are a brother, a relation to somebody who has suffered that. So you are a victim in a way. And this is not good for us. The IG should resign. The chief of army staff should resign. I mean, those who are at the helm of this security apparatus should be relieved of their job. If they are tired, new blood should be introduced into the system. And if we can't get it right, we should seek for help from foreign countries.
All right, economic situation to worsen in 6 states. We've got Kaduna, Sokoto, and some other states mentioned by the World Bank. How discouraging is this when we are hitting 2024 and the World Bank is already telling us 6 states in the Federation is going to, the economic and security issues hardship is going to worsen?
Well, they are telling us the truth. If you leave that to Nigeria Economic Report, they are not going to say the truth. What they are saying is a warning sign. And of course, the falling of brown leaves is a warning to the green ones. What the World Bank is telling Nigeria is that we need to be economically conscious. We need to rejig our security apparatus and ensure that we don't fall victim. The pit holes are already there. This is what we are saying in 2024. But if we do beyond or above what we are doing now, and we get it right, we are not likely going to fall into those pit holes. That is what the World Bank is telling us. And so it's a warning sign. And that report is true to it. And I hope the government will take a cue and find out a way to avoid this trap. It is going to be very disastrous and dangerous if we don't get it correctly.
What will be your watchword to the states like Kaduna, Katsina, Sokoto that were mentioned in this report as some of the states likely to face this worsening economic and security situations? What should those states like be doing now?
Benue, inclusive, and even some states in the southeast. We will be missing Akeredolu in this era. Akeredolu came up with a very strong strategic plan against this sort of security challenge in those states. He came up with the
Amotokun, yes.
And he got it right. It reduced the security challenge in Ogun State. So I am encouraging states who are under this watch list to quickly come up with a very strong, virile, and well-equipped security apparatus, a local security network that will protect the people. Or else, we are in for a serious doldrum.
All right, we'll go for a very quick break. When we return from the break, we'll continue our discussions and analysis with Oche Emmanuel, who is a legal practitioner and also an activist, public affairs analyst. After this short break, stay with us. All right, and welcome back from the break. You're still watching Africa's Finest Breakfast Show, Global Morning, and we're still in the section where we're looking at the big stories in Nigeria's papers. We're now on with the Daily Trust is up next for review. We've got some very interesting headlines making the rounds. We've got headlines saying Edo 2024 is the big headlines. There is the rider Obaseki slashes Shaibu's budget. Deputy Governor insists on competency. Edo 2024 is the rider talking about the governorship elections coming up. Obaseki, the governor, slashes Shaibu's budget. Deputy governor insists on competency is the headline story. And we've got another one. Headline says, man mishandling of CBN investigation reports can create distrust and panic, says experts. And other stories, headlines, bandit always a step ahead of government, says the Sultan of, yes, we've got the Sultan there, Saad Bubakar III, says bandits always a step ahead of government, is the headline story. All right, let's join our newspaper analyst in the person of Oche Emmanuel. Oche, nice to know you're still there. All right, let's
you.
look at the headlines from the Daily Trust. One of them says Edo 2024 is the kicker. Governor Obaseki slashes Shoaibu's budget. Deputy Governor insists on competency. There has been this cold rift between the governor and his deputy as regards the deputy's ambition of becoming the state governor. This slashing of a budget, do you think this is another sign to say it's not going to be easy for Shoaibu come 2024?
Yes, clearly, it shows that the governor of Edo State, Governor Governor Obaseki,
yes,
is doing all within his powers to ensure that he frustrates his deputy from contesting or even winning the election.
That's Philip Shoaibu.
I am not surprised. It is the usual thing in Nigerian political space that most of the governors and their deputies don't always go well. And usually when it gets to the end of their tenure, the deputy governor naturally will want to ascend to the position of the governor, but the governors are always very resistant. I don't know why it is so. If you remember the story the situation in Kogi State, you will be able to know better that is the most recent issue where Governor Yahaya Bello frustrated his deputy and refused to allow him have a bite at the cherry. For me and many other independent observers, the governor of Edo State needed not to have slashed the budget to the office of the deputy governor so low, ridiculously low, because he wants to starve him from having funds to run his office or do whatever he needed to do with it. He doesn't need to do that. It's a clear show of victimization, clear show of frustration. The office of the deputy governor is a constitutional office. You should not trivialize that office to the point of wanting to use your independent power to now frustrate activities and the going-ons in that office. It is very wrong. And that is totally, to me, an executive recklessness. We shouldn't be allowed to be at all. His office has about 19 billion. And then you are putting just 300 million. How would the deputy governor run his office? No matter the issues between both of you, he is still a deputy governor. And you have to fund the office properly for him to function effectively.
All right, let's look at, I know you're aware, you know Philip Shoaibu in his days in University of Jos, where he graduated from. He's a very dogged fighter, also had dealings with NANS and all that. Do you think Philip Shoaibu has the steel to withstand this and probably succeed to becoming the governor of Edo State come 2024?
Well, like you rightly pointed out, I thought I was going to keep this from the public knowledge. I know Philip very well. We were in University of Jos together. I can describe him as a cat with a 9 lives.
All right, I think that's
his dream.
Okay.
Philip is very strategic with whatever he's doing. He's going to follow his dream down to the end. And I assure you that he has looking at the state as his major source of revenue for this election. Philip has made friends across board. And I think this has been, in the words of President Bola Tinubu, this also is the life ambition of Philip Shoaibu. And I know he has been nursing this ambition right from his days as NANS president. I also became the student union government president of University of Shoaibu. He's a dogged and corrosive fighter. He believes that whatever his mind is set out to do, he has to follow it through. And I'm happy that he's not waging any war against the governor. He's focused on achieving his ambition, and I pray that at the end of the day, God will favor him to achieve his ambition. He will make a good governor. After all, he has codenamed himself the original Edo boy. And so I hope that he is able to get it right. And I think the governor and himself need to have a meeting point where they will agree and let this power be transmitted seamlessly to him, having had him as a deputy governor and working with him, and he knows the corners, the areas where things needed to be done right in Edo State. I think it's a better hand, and not to import people from Lagos, from Abuja, and make captains of industry who do not know the local politics, because every politics is local. So he needs to come on board and then do well for Edo State.
All right, well said. Let's look at the last story from the Daily Trust. We're talking about Sa'ad Abubakar III, the Sultan of Sokoto, saying the bandits are always a step ahead of the government. Can you read something in between the lines from that statement, especially when you also remember that Sheikh Gumi is the only one who has succeeded in going into the trenches to have discussions with this bandit also?
Look, it was General Sani Abacha who said that if any insurrection, if any crisis is allowed to fester beyond 24 hours, the government has a hand in it. Which simply means that with these bandits, kidnappers, and all these criminals having sway in our country, it simply means the government, and when I mean government, I mean important Nigerians who ought to have stopped these things, have knowledge of what is happening. They are benefiting from it. They are also partners. I mean, they are what we call in legal parlance participi crimini. They are part of it. They are part and parcel of it. And with this statement coming from a very revered, traditional ruler, it simply means they know that the bandits themselves are not sleeping. So if they are not sleeping, why are we sleeping? You know, if you read Chido Achebe's book, Arrow of God, he said, Eneke the bird says, if men have learned how to shoot without missing, then Eneke has learned how to fly without perching. If the bandits have learned how to, frustrate the effort of our military and our intelligence, why are we not thinking ahead of them? And I'm also suggesting that if they are better than us, let us seek foreign collaboration, because life is going. Look at what happened in Plateau, and look at the killing in Kaduna only recently, just because you want to exterminate few bandits. We shouldn't be incurring this kind of collateral damage because we want to safeguard just few people. I mean, why are we tolerating criminality in this country? Why can't it wasn't this way? Who are those benefiting from this? Political chicaneries? I mean, what is happening in this country? I am troubled, and like I said, we are all victims of this crisis already. We are all victims of this criminality already. The victim of these things are not only those who are dead or buried or wounded. Even if you have not been involved in this, a friend of yours has been involved, a family member has been involved, and so we are victims. Do we need to wait until we are caught in the act and killed before we know that this thing is all over? It is pathetic, and this is a sign of a failed state.
All right, let's quickly just look at, go to the global scene before we call it a day in our newspaper review segment. We've got the Daily Express here. We've got the Financial Times. For the Daily Express, is all about Dame Esther Precious Xmas full of smiles. That's just talking about sharing in this Xmas period. Then Horns tax cuts in just 10 weeks. Let's just quickly look at, for the sake of the season, looking at Dame Esther Precious Xmas full of smiles. How important is it to share, love and considerations for vulnerable people around us and amongst us, especially at this time of Christmas?
The essence of Christmas, by the way, is for people to express love, to have time to travel, visit. That is why usually in most countries, at a time like this, government declare public holidays, and then the offices are closed for workers, for people to have the time to be able to travel to visit their loved ones. And then those who have the capacity to share tangible love with neighbors and friends, express that through this moment. It's a very important thing, because the person whose birthday they are celebrating is love personified. Jesus Christ, the Son of Almighty Elohim. He is love personified. And he said that if you don't love your neighbor, then you don't love him. So God, Jesus himself, is love. So if you want to really enjoy the benefit and derive the spiritual benefit of this season, then you need to express this love in any way possible to enable you also examine and reiterate the lessons of giving.
All right, wrapping it up, let's take you to Ukraine, where the big headline story from the Financial Times tells us, it says a global defense order books budge as Ukraine puts a budget on war footing. Let's look at, it says $760 billion of hardware in pipeline, rising tensions feed demand, and investors pile into arms stocks. Let's look at the Ukraine and also in terms of support from the U.S. and other allies. How would you judge the support system thus far? Because recently it looks like the U.S. has been stalling in terms of giving them more aid. Do you think this is a sign that the war in Ukraine might just be subpedaling?
Well, for me, we never believed that this war was going to last this long. We thought that Russia, being a big brother, was going to wallop Ukraine. Don't forget that Ukraine and Russia were both in the old USSR, which has fragmented into so many states: Kosovo, Azerbaijan, Belarusia, Belarus, Ukraine also, and all of these countries. We are shocked to see that Ukraine has been able to hold fast herself and her independence. America, being what they are playing what politics. However, I think they need to be careful with the way they step, because these are two different economic climes. I mean, America and then the communist nation, Russia and Ukraine. That Ukraine are finding partnership and allies with America is an indication that they are trying to drift from the traditional economic and belief system of that section of the world. I'm hoping that if this is sustained, Ukraine is going to leave a large mark. And Russia, on her part, should have also learned that every country, as independent as they are, will also have a big brother somewhere. So I'm thinking that America should, rather than supporting Ukraine to fight Russia, see how they can mitigate. Use friendly countries, friendly governments to mitigate between these two countries, as no country progress in war situation.
All right, I want to say a big thank you to Ocha Emmanuel, who is one of Nigeria's finest legal practitioners and also an activist and public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us on Global Morning. Always a pleasure having you give us very sound, decent analysis for national growth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, presenter. Good morning, Nigerians, and I wish you happy Christmas and a prosperous New Year ahead. I'm in a gym already trying to burn down all the food I ate over the time. So I encourage you to do the same too. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I will join you later in the day. All right, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on the newspaper segment, where we've talked about all the big stories in Africa's biggest black nation, Nigeria, and also on the global scene, going to Ukraine and also London, giving you some bit of everything there is in between. Okay, right now, this will be at the point where we're going to be calling in sports reporters so that we can get in the sporting mood. Before, at the top of the hour, we'll be getting the discuss segment. We'll be looking at the financial sector in 2023. All the big stories that hit 2023 is what we'll be looking at, and also we'll be previewing, looking at 2024 and looking at what is likely to come to us in 2024. All this will be at the top of the hour, 9 a.m. prompt. But for now, let's get you in the sporty mood. Hello sports fans, welcome to another exciting edition of Sports News Update on Global Morning. Let's begin with the big stories making the rounds in the world of boxing. Let's tell you that Alexander Usyk insists he has no doubt that he will beat Tyson Fury in their undisputed heavyweight showdown in 2024. Usyk and Fury will finally face each other for all 4 heavyweight belts on February 17 in Saudi Arabia, and with the fight less than 8 weeks away, the Ukrainian has revealed he is already dreaming about winning. Fury has gained a reputation for winning the psychological battle with his opponent before their fight to give himself the edge in the ring. At his opening press conference with Usage last month, Fury hurled a series of insults at his rival, labeling him a rabbit and a sausage, while also trying to intimidate him at their first face-off. Usage managed to keep his cool, which only appeared to fire up Fury even more. Reflecting on how things panned out, Usage believes he already has the mental edge over the Gypsy King. And moving on to transfer matters, let's tell you that Bayern Munich are reportedly ready to make an opening offer for Manchester United defender Rafa Varane. The defender has struggled for regular playing time at Old Trafford this season, making just 5 Premier League appearances, with the likes of Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof and Johnny Evans often starting ahead of the 30-year-old. This has led to speculation that he could leave the club, with reported interest from Saudi Arabia and former club Real Madrid, where he could potentially replace the injured David Alaba. And Spanish newspaper Sport claim Bayern have now entered the race. The German giants have injury problems of their own, will be left even more light as Kim Min-jae and Nusai Masaru leave to take part in the Asian Cup and African Cup of Nations respectively. Sporting director Christophe Ron has already confirmed that the club will be on the hunt for a defender in January, and Sport claim they are willing to pay around 20 million euros for Varane. And moving to the EPL, Tottenham have been handed another major injury blow after Angel Postecoglou revealed Christian Romero will be sidelined for up to 5 weeks with hamstring strain. Romero was replaced at halftime during Saturday's 2-1 win against Everton after complaining of muscle discomfort, and he was sent for a scan after the game. The result confirmed that he will be ruled out of Tottenham's upcoming games, with Postecoglou delivering news of the setback at his press conference. Tottenham face Brighton, Bournemouth, Manchester United and Brentford in the Premier League over the next 5 weeks, while they also set to host Burnley in the FA Cup. Romero could miss all 5 matches, having already been absent for 3 games this term after serving a suspension for being sent off against Chelsea last month. And wrapping it up, Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice from the penalty spot as Al Nassr beat Al Ittihad 5-2 in the Saudi Pro League. The clash provided a reunion for former Real Madrid teammate Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, who joined Al Ittihad in the summer transfer window. Al Ittihad took an early lead through Abdulrazak Hamdallah in the 14th minute, but Al Nassr were soon awarded a spot kick, which Ronaldo dispatched down the middle to level 5 minutes later. Talisca sent Al Nassr ahead in the 38th minute, but Hamdallah equalized 6 minutes into the second half, and Ronaldo scored from the spot again in the 68th minute to retake the lead and bag his 53rd goal of the 2023 season. Al Ittihad were reduced to 10 men in the 66th minute when Fabinho was dismissed, and Sadio Mane struck in the 75th and 82nd minutes to seal victory. And that's how we seal up Sports News Update for this edition. I am Anthony Momodu. It's now time for us to whet your appetite with some taste and texture. And then when we're done with that, we'll be hitting the ground running as we look at 2023 in retrospect and also look forward to 2024. And as usual, we've got one of the finest minds in the mobile money sector to come help us take a look at 2023. That's after the taste and texture. Stay with us.
When picking out yummy foods, trust me to pick a few from the Yoruba tribe. Hello and welcome to Taste and Texture. I am Sharon Ajay. Today will be all about bean soup, also known as gbegiri. Gbegiri soup is a type of Nigerian soup popularly eaten by the Yoruba tribe of Nigeria. It is made from peeled cooked beans. This bean soup is commonly served at restaurants also known as buka. It is delicious and mildly flavored. Gbegiri or abula, as often called, is served with ewedu and buka stew. Yummy, right? Let's make it. Soak beans in water for 3 to 5 minutes and peel to remove the skin. Leave the skin on if you choose. Alternatively, use the blender to peel the beans. It is faster and less stressful. Boil peeled beans with enough water until soft. Alternatively, use a pressure cooker for these bits as it is quicker. Boil assorted meat till tender with seasoning and salt. Separate stock from meat and set aside. Blend cooked beans in a blender for a smooth puree and set aside. Place a cooking pan on medium heat. Add palm oil and eat for about 3 minutes. Don't bleach oil. Stir pureed beans in palm oil. Beans pureed should not be loose, but somewhere in the middle of loose and thick. Add water if needed to achieve the desired thickness. Add assorted beef and Kenyan pepper. Stir till well combined. Reduce the heat and leave to cook for about 10 minutes. Check in between to avoid soup from burning. Add crayfish, seasoning and salt. At this point, don't want the soup to be thick. Add water if need be, but don't overdo it. Continue to cook until all ingredients are well combined. Check for seasoning and salt. Serve with ewedu soup, swallow of your choice like amala, gari or tuwo and buka stew and enjoy. For those wondering about the health benefits, well, here you go. It has high fiber content that keeps you fuller and makes you eat less. Also, low fat, low sugar, zero refined sugar and high protein with enough energy. Beans are rich in trace minerals such as magnesium, phosphorus and copper, which are great for the heart and other metabolic function. They keep you fuller for long.